Thank you, Prof, for this wonderful presentation. I have a question, even though I have attended halfway. My question is with regard to why is it that the Salafi ideology, or I can say the Salafi movement, is more pronounced with related to Saudi, while we have it that, according to history, the popularity of Salafi in the modern sense, it was started in Egypt through the works of Muhammad Abdu and the like. And also even Muhammad Nasiruddin al-Albani, who has become one of the most influential Salafi authority, has been influenced by the writings of this particular modernists of Egypt, especially through readings their journal of Manara, and also like the verification of hadith that become a lifetime experience of Al-Albani, has been started by an Egyptian scholar named Ahmad Shakir. So I want to know, why is it that now Salafism is mostly attached to Saudi whenever Salafism is mentioned, while its first seed was sown in Egypt? So that's my question. Thank you for this presentation, Prof.
So, I mean, it's a good question. I like it because, in a sense, you're right, right? And I always say, like in my book, um, that these Salafis in Egypt in the 1920s, they're not just Wahhabis. They're Chinese Wahhabis. That is, there is a strong tradition that doesn't come really from Saudi Arabia. It comes from Iraq and Syria, which David Cummins has written beautifully in a book about late Ottoman Syria and the rediscovery of Ibn Taymiyyah in late Ottoman Syria. People like in Iraq, there's Norman al-Alusi, the Alusi family. There's the Jamaluddin al-Qasimi in Iraq, in Syria. Those are Chinese. They're not Wahhabis. And this is kind of the tradition to which Al-Albani, who comes from Syria, belongs. So the rediscovery of Ibn Taymiyyah and the quest for purity is not an exclusively Saudi thing, right? It comes actually, it's multi-centric at the beginning at least. But of course, Saudi Arabia, because it has a state, and because later on it has resources, would gradually, kind of become the epicenter, the unique epicenter of that originally multi-centric movement. But the original, and there would be differences, by the way. There would be differences till the end. Sheikh al-Albani would disagree with the Saudi Salafis on certain things. Al-Albani, for instance, never thought that niqab was obligatory. And the Saudi Salafis were outraged. But he came from a different Syrian Salafi tradition, of course, different conditions, so there's this big book actually that created a big scandal when he published it. It's called Hijab al-Mara al-Muslima, which is a book on niqab. Al-Albani takes a stance against it. And he's in Saudi Arabia at the time, and the Saudi Salafis are like, no, you can't say that. This is not Salafism. So you can see that within Salafism, there were different strains and traditions, but they were they were all driven by the quest for purity. But it's not like monolithic. Although the Saudi Arabia would play a role as epicenter to try to systematize it. So, but you're right to point out the fact that, this is not just a story about Saudi Arabia. And in my book, I don't make it about Saudi Arabia that much. One of the things that I get in my book is like, you don't talk about Saudi Arabia enough, because I don't talk about it more than I think it's necessary to talk about. Because I think people talk about it all the time. And by talking about it all the time, they miss what's actually happening on the ground. It's not just like some masterminds sitting in Riyadh and deciding for what's going to happen in the world. It's not like that. It's much more complicated than that. There's many intertwined histories coming from the past. So thank you for pointing that out.
Okay, thank you so much, Stephen, and also the audience. I know we still have many things that we want to explore from Stephen's book, but we already passed the time limit. So I have regretfully end this session. And I would also like to thank you all for being part of today's rich and engaging discussion. Special thank you to Stephen for a very compelling presentation, and also Muhammad Al-Marakebi for your thoughtful and also insightful comments. Yes, and I have the honor to moderate this today's discussion. So today's discussion has already give us a lot of information about what happened in Egypt during the what Stephen called there's a void and also a demand for religious change in Egypt. And I hope today's discussion not only spark our interest and also our discussion about Egypt, but we can also continue the discussion beyond Egypt, beyond this room, and also beyond this book. And hopefully, we can meet again in another discussion. As a moderator, I would like to thanks again for Pak Yanwar as a dean for the faculty the dean of the Faculty of Islamic Studies at UI 3, and also for the audience for your presence, for your questions, and also for your engaging discussion. Thank you, everyone. I end up this discussion. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.